Joanne Richards Goffe from Kingston, Jamaica, and from the KW magazine, Crucial Connections in Faith and Culture. And today is episode 10. We are so excited because we have got to episode 10 of Crucial Conversations. Now, if this is your very first episode of Crucial Conversations, then you may not know about the KW magazine. The KW magazine, KW stands for Come, Make We Worship. And it is a magazine that was designed to facilitate conversations among persons primarily of African descent, both on the African diaspora, on the African continent, and in the diasporas. And it is about worship and cultural identity. So we have this magazine in which we have been including articles and interviews and poems and all these things from people all over the world of African descent. Now, why are we doing Crucial Conversations? We're doing Crucial Conversations so that we can get in deeper to know and understand who are these people that we have interviewed? Who are these people that have written articles? And who are these poets who are writing amazing material that we have been publishing in the magazine? So we wanted to get to know them. But generally speaking, here's what we want to do. We want to get to know ourselves better. We want to get to know each other better. And ultimately, we want to build deeper, more authentic relationships with our Creator, Yahweh. So that is what all of these conversations are about. Now, today, before I tell you who our special guest is, we do have in the room Dana from all the way in Canada and Rosie from right here in Jamaica, and they're going to be interacting with you on Facebook. So if you have any questions or comments, they will feed it right here inside the Zoom room so that we can comment and respond to your questions and all of these wonderful things. So the first thing we want you to do, if you are with us right now, and even if you're not live, please just tell us, where in the world are you joining us from? Are you in the US? Are you in Canada? Are you in Africa, the UK, somewhere in Jamaica? Just tell us where you are. And the next thing we need you to do is to share this feed. Share this feed. So I am going to play a YouTube video of the poem that I was introduced to, and I said, no, we really do have to include this poem in this issue of the magazine. It's called The Black, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bean, is it the African Bloom or the Black African Bloom?
The Black African Bloom.
The Black African Bloom. It's a tribute to our first national hero, Mosiah Garvey. And we have the poet in the room with us. But I'm going to play the YouTube video. And while we're playing the YouTube video, so you can all hear the words, etc., I am asking you also to go ahead and share this feed. So let's get it up, Mr. Bean. The Black African Bloom. Let's make sure we start from the very beginning.
The Black African Bloom, to the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey. garden or in the pot, cultured or wild, foliage green, flowers colorful, purple and shades, yellow and shades, blue and shades, pink and shades, red and shades, and even white. But where is the black flower growing naturally? Is the sun too hot for black, or is shadow sin, evil and death? We need a black flower to remind us of our African roots, to remind us of Angola, Congo, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, Gambia, and Senegal. We need a black flower to remind us of the slave ships, Hannibal, Amistad, the Zong, and the George. We need a black flower to depict the coffles and the chains, the resistance, the struggle for freedom in the Americas and the West Indies. We need a black flower to sing the songs of redemption, to sound the abeng of the black princess, Nanny of the Maroons, to beat the drum of the black hero, Marcus Garvey. We need a black flower like scarlet poppy to rise from the grave of our history, the grave of our pride, the grave of our power, the grave of our culture, the grave of our confidence, the grave of our dignity. We need a black flower to speak of black courage and black power. We need a black flower to create positive images of black beauty. We need a black flower to erase distortions of the black skin and stop bleaching. We need a black flower to dispel negative associations of blackness. Yes, let the black flower remove the stain of brainwashed concepts of self. Oh, Almighty Jah, send us a black flower with beautiful black petals, bright red sepals. Let it sit on a strong green stalk. Let the black flower disturb the prejudices, the hate, and the rejection. Let the black flower call for reparation and repatriation, as well as the exoneration of Marcus Garvey. Let the black flower, the black African blue, proclaim freedom, freedom, freedom. Let the black flower bloom, if only in my dream, my dream, my dream.
We need a black flower.
Okay. All right. I decided, since we lost a little time at the front end, that you can go to YouTube and find not just this, but all of the songs and poems and that Mr. Bean has been writing in all these many years of, I'm sorry, Mr. Bean, I know we make it sound, but the two of we have gray hair, so.
We're good.
Yes, Bean 3 Music. Bean 3 Music. On YouTube, you will find a lot of his music and his poems. So, we have with us singer-songwriter, poet, author, marketing consultant. I tell him I'm going to call him Pastor, because he is in his heart and by anointing, I would say, a pastor. I hope I'm not getting into trouble now. And so many more things. Mr. Errol Bean, the original Mr. Bean. Did I mention lecturer? Because I know I put it up that we are having a history lesson today, because we are going back in time to see what really inspired Mr. Bean to do all this work, this creative work that he has done? And what are the things that happened along the way that maybe we don't know, but he knows? So, welcome, sir. It is so good to have you in episode 10 of CREWShall Conversations. And I know we are about to have in public a crucial conversation. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Joan. It's my pleasure and great honor to be with you and to be numbered among all the illustrious, the great persons you have had on this program. And I pray that you'll continue to have good success as you reach out to others, to reach out with the message of hope to the world.
Give
Thank
thanks.
you.
Give thanks. And as you speak about the message of hope to the world, I'm going to start there by sharing with our visitors, with our friends, what is your goal? And your goal is to inspire and to motivate and to give hope to humanity through words and music, through poems and songs. And I would say that this is really what you have been doing as I have been going through your bio and the repertoire. It is extensive. So first of all, let me ask you, where were you born and where did you grow up?
Okay. Of course, my life story is a very long one. My history is a very long one.
Yes.
God willing, and I'm very proud, next year, February 14, I'll be 70 years old.
Wow. Okay.
And I have been a Christian for 50 years.
Don't tell nobody else here.
No, man, them can know, man, because you see, remember now we are 70 years, we get, and if next year me still around, maybe say thanks for the extra, Father God. So, yes, so I was born in Hanover, Maryland,
yes.
Montana, to be exact.
Yes.
And of course, to cut the story short, as I'll have to do, my father went on that Windrush episode to England, and my mother, who was from Clarendon, during the struggle of not having a father and 3 children, took us back to Clarendon, Frankfield. So before I was 10, I was brought to Clarendon, where I grew up in the hills of Clarendon, Coffee Peace. And then I was taken to Frankfield, where I went to Frankfield Primary School, Edwin Allen High School, at the time, Edwin Allen Frankfield Comprehensive High School. And so most of my, up to 19 years, I was in Frankfield, and I met the Lord personally, and I became a Christian, and my journey turned because my only hope and ambition in life was to be a singer, to be a real big star. Oh. And I actually went to Bonnie Lee, who just passed the other day, God rest his soul, and did audition, and he told me and a couple other persons to come back in January of 70 or 71, I forget which year now. And I became a Christian in December, on the 28th of December.
Yes.
And my journey changed.
Okay, so then you gave me a whole lot. I say where you born and where you grow, and I get a whole lot more than that. But I want to come back, and before, Rose in the room is saying, wow, you're doing good, Sir Bean. And Mavis George is like, wow. And Dr. Vivian says, apologies for late, had problems getting on. Multi-talented individual, yes. So you said you had this dream of being a big star, a big music star, and you were heading there in January, but you met Jesus the December.
Yes, the Christ, the real Christ, not the wrong one, the right one.
Not the wrong one, the right one.
Not the white one, the one who I didn't know was was the real Christ at the time, but he came to me in spirit, and I met him, and then eventually I found out who he is.
Because this is what I wanted to know. What did he tell you that shifted you from that original?
For religion, any religion, to be authentic, it has to affect your life.
Yes.
So no matter how much tongues you speak in, and no matter how much garbs you wear and chains around your neck and externals, if it doesn't affect your journey and turn you around from a direction to espouse or to hold on to high ethical standards and to live, your livity has to be affected. And therefore, I was at the age of experimenting when I met the Christ. And of course, at high school, start experimenting with cigarette. Some guys came to Frankfield, exposed us to ganja. So we started running away from police, smoking ganja in the night. A couple of my friends got crazy and went off their head and so on. Our teacher from Canada came and got knocked. I'm not now speaking medically, saying a ganja do anybody anything, but I tell you, I know a couple of friends who smoked it and went wild. Thank God I escaped because I didn't do much of it. But the point is, after my life was changed and I found that I had a new strength to engage myself to go on another journey, I figured that this was the call. And then a few months after that, I felt the call to go into the ministry, to be a pastor. So that was where it was solidified.
Yes, wow. We have been interviewing a range of people on this program. And, is either pastor or child of a pastor or this kind of thing. So you went into the ministry. I see where you are a past student of the United Theological College of the West Indies. Tell us about that journey.
Well, that journey was a very important one because when I became a Christian, I was 19. And then when I did pre-train teaching in Frankfield Primary School, and then I went about 74, I went to UTC, of course, away from the training I got. And of course, thank God for free education, I got a first degree. So I was exposed to development of civilization and some of those use of English and so on. And of course, I met my wife on the chapel choir. University Chapel Choir with Mr. Dexter, and we have been together since that, 43 years and counting.
Imagine. Yes. So that is another story that is an interesting part of the conversation. But I'm noticing you're mentioning Noel Dexter, and in our conversations, I don't remember you bringing him up, but he has come up before because Professor Lewis, who we had spoken with a few weeks ago, said that Noel Dexter was taught by his mom at some point, music, So he is clearly a significant figure in the Jamaican landscape as well. No, I just want to, because Love Blossoms on the choir, says Rosie. She's getting all poetic now because it's poet in the house, you understand?
Inspiration, you're flowing, yes.
Yes. So your I don't want to jump because you see, you don't know people all that I already know. So I want to make sure that you get to know the people, get to know some of what you have shared with me. You said that your inspiration for the music came from two sources. One was just the impact that the gospel music had while you were in the ministry, in the pastorate, and also that you had dreams of Bob Marley. So see if you can bring us up to date on those two things that influence.
Because there are so many twists and turns of my life. But to be honest, and for it to be historically factual, the fact is that when I was ordained 4 years after as a Baptist minister and served in St. Anne, one of the churches there, we had a good time, and then we were called to Portmore to come to a church to co-pastor with one of our historical churches and one of our outstanding pastors at the time.
Yeah.
And then, well, again, this story have to be cut short because special intervention in the church, spiritual developments that I did not understand as a radical student from UTC that question a lot of the myths in the Bible and understand the differences between the synoptic gospels and the contradictions in them. I was amazed that the Spirit of God was actually something real that could manifest itself through tongues and through revelations and through inspiration. And to cut the story short, I was fired as a result of the interactions and theological understandings and people getting frantic and believing that I was doing something wrong. And that at that time, the spiritual, the charismatic movement was just taking off. And people like Everett Allen and the other guy who started the charismatic movement, I forget his name now, he left UTC, was in class with me at UTC, but he left. And even Al Miller, I mean, I'm calling his name in a good way, he was there in class with me and he left and found that that was his mission. But I did not know about this spiritual dimension to life. So after I was fired now, my life dream of becoming like Tom Skinner, the black preacher who came to Jamaica and preached, and I heard him. Of course, Billy Graham was there, Oral Roberts, B. Sam Hart, Jerry Gallimore, those people. They influenced me and to wanted to be an evangelist. But when my ministry was thwarted by the devil, with the allowance and the freedom that God allowed it to happen, my journey had to change. So then, having been thrust out of the church in a very wicked way, and I still say the people who did it were very wicked because I did nothing immoral. I did not steal any money. I did not get in any immoral acts. I did not do anything worthy of being fired. But because I was presenting the word as I saw it, I was fired. So I'm proud of that. I was fired, and my life journey changed. And therefore, I had to seek another way now to find stability and grounding. And so Marley's music was out when I was at home, cannot go to church, my wife and I, and a young baby, because we were fired with before my first daughter, my daughter, when the daughter was born. And so I used to listen to Little Birds and Coming In From the Cold and Bad Card and those things. And of course, Jimmy Davis, the gospel singer, we used to listen to those songs. And so, I don't know, I got several dreams with Bob Marley, about 3 or 4 dreams. And he told me about music and all that sort of stuff and encouraged me. No, I cannot play any note like you, Joe. I cannot play any instrument. But I got up in the night, and in fact, I dreamt that his head became a mountain, and he filled up the world. And I got up in the night and said to my wife, in 1981, after he died, I didn't meet him in person, Bob Marley is going to become Jamaica's most important, most memorable, the greatest legend of all times, and nobody will ever to surpass Bob Marley. Wow. And I'm saying that other people, the Toots Sunday, Peter Tosh, and the other great men and women have done their work, but Bob Marley has been called in a special way. And so I got up and I heard music in my head. I wrote down some songs, and to cut the story short, in 2004, I did an album, a 17-track album that has some of my more important works out of Africa, those songs and so on.
Out of Africa.
Yes.
The fathers of Africa were captured and carried away.
You know the song.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Love that one. Yes.
Yeah. So Marley then. So you asked me about Marley. So Marley has impacted my life, but not to influence me to become a Rastafarian, but to understand the sincerity, and he wasn't looking money. So my interest in music was not to make money and like Marley. And of course, he became richer than everybody else. So the point is, but guess what? No. When I was to do my album, I only had a small salary because I was teaching at the time. And you know something? My daughter got the first Bob Marley scholarship and took her through the first year and second year and third year. And she got her first class honors in history. So Marley indirectly helped me to school my daughter. Well, school
Wow.
my daughter, our
Yes.
daughter, and I
Yes.
used my money to produce my album because I didn't have a producer.
Oh,
Somalia has
okay.
impacted my life greatly.
Yes. So then, I noticed the themes of your poems and songs are, generally speaking, to do with family values,
Yes.
to do with gender issues,
Yes.
and of course, to do with African identity.
You're spot on.
Why? Why are these
Family. Remind me of the tree because I'll forget. Family
family
is important.
values? Yes,
Yes. Because you see, remember now, my father left when I was about 3 years, and
yes.
my other two sisters, one was maybe 4, and the other one was 2 or
Mm-hmm.
so. And well, no, 1 because I think she was born after he left. Um, and so I only person I had was my mother and my 2
Yes,
sisters.
yes,
And all the persons who have helped me along the way have been like family.
yes.
So family to me, the fact is that, in fact, I'll say this, the challenge I had when I met my wife, who would be with me through thick and thin, through my ups and downs, I had a difficulty settling, and because I was afraid that I would not be able to be a good father and a good husband because my father left.
Yes.
And I got counseling from Dr. Allen. I can tell you, Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Allen, he was university, he was a very handsome young doctor, and he helped me. And he told me that I will be a good father. And
Mm-hmm.
he told me I will be a good husband because I have the sincerity in me. So family is everything. And I have one daughter that I'm proud of who's doing very well. And she's a gift, I believe, from God to humanity to carry on great job. So family
Yes,
has been my bedrock. And
yes.
other persons who have been like family to me, Reverend Jennings and his family, other persons, Irving Green, who, when I had to give up my house when I went to UTC, I
Mm-hmm.
lived at these places when I had no house to live. So, a number of persons have helped me in the past. So family, that
Yes.
was the first foundation of my sustenance. And the other
Okay.
one was Africa or gender, which one?
Gender.
Gender,
Yes.
again, I'm very convinced that man and woman are equal halves of humanity.
Yes.
In fact, I am so conscious of gender balance. For one, in modern time, my daughter is a gender specialist and she works at the university in the gender area.
Okay.
And therefore, I have read a lot. I have read feminist work. I have learned a lot about feminism. Not that I'm pushing feminism, but I believe in equality of
Mm-hmm.
the sexes. And
Yes.
I believe that man and woman should be equal. And in fact, my struggle sometimes when I read the Bible, when I have to say his for God, I wish I could try and do something and put his or her or put it, because God is spirit. And I know that the Old Testament and the background is man and king and the father image. But to me, God is my mother,
Mm-hmm.
because I am mother. And so if I may share
Well,
something with you.
yes,
Can I share something with you?
as you look for that,
Yes.
if I could just make reference to the passage where it says, like a hen gathers her chicks, so
Yes. Very,
is
very
that
good.
God gathers.
Yes. So
So
to me,
there are elements of both,
yes.
male and
So whereas God is father in his care and provision and protection, is also mother in the nurturing.
female.
This book, we didn't have to pay you for this. This book, um,
Jamaican women. Can you
Women of
read what's on
Distinction.
the screen?
It's called Jamaican Women of Distinction, Holding Up More Than Half the Sky by Dr. Errol Bean, my daughter. This is a
Wow.
second self-published,
Big up
self-titled
yourself, Dr.
book.
Dahlia. Yes.
Yes, but the reason why I'm showing it to you is that the dedication in this book
Yes.
is part of my poem, that one of my best love poems, which is dedicated to women. And it
Mm-hmm.
says, you blessed being of the equal half of humanity, the nesting womb of life, endowed with strength and powered by courage, you are woman,
Mm.
mother of man and God enfleshed.
Wow.
So gender is important to me because I am sick and tired of the beating of women, of the ill-treated, kicking women. Trust me, I'm very passionate about that. And I would not love anybody to ill-treat my daughter. And I believe I've taken good care of my wife and my daughter.
Wonderful.
And my two sisters who are female. Well,
Yes.
they are both female, they are sisters.
Wonderful. Just to comment on what a couple persons have been saying. Well, Rosie in the room is saying twists and turns for us are sometimes God's journey. Other times he works it out for our good. Yes. And then she also says a number of men who have not been fathered have shared the same concerns that you have shared, but they all end up doing very well. So it is possible. And Mavis George is saying a true story of being shaped by one's struggles.
My goodness, that's a blessing. And just to interject, last year before the COVID, I was privileged to be part of a focus group of positive fathering from the gender ministry, the Ministry of Gender and whatever it's called by Babs Greens. And I was part of that.
Yes.
And I made my contribution. And I was very happy to be able to deal with the interaction between myself and my daughter. Yes. And it was part of that booklet. So I have been endorsed as a good father, and it has happened.
Wonderful.
And gender is important, but the Africa.
Yes, right. Africa. So what was your inspiration for choosing African identity as one of the critical themes that you emphasize in your poetry and your music? Because we know that in Jamaica growing up, Africa was never highlighted as a positive space, and the African identity was not generally pushed by all and sundry. So what happened? How is it that you had that focus?
All right. Again, I cut this story short and summarize it. When Mandela was captured with the other guys and sent to prison, I was at high school, and I was very happy. And we jumped and shouted at them, catch the boy, them catch the boy.
What?
And yes, man, we were happy that because we were told that he's a revolutionary and him trying to bring communism to mash up the white people and thing. And we were happy that they caught him. Well, many years after, in 1987, my wife is a history teacher, and she did African history. Yes. And she told me a lot about what the great Bridget who died recently, the great historian, what is his name? Whatever, that great man, we should not forget him. He just died recently. And he influenced her, and Professor Campbell and those papers, and told her about our history. And I started reading. But then one of the songs that I was led to write was the same Out of Africa, Freedom song. Yes, was talking about the struggle so I came full circle and wanted to get involved with the struggle to free the people of South Africa. So that first song I did in 1987 was called Freedom. Black people need freedom, white people need freedom. And Free Eye, who was at JBC at the time, loved the song. I used to play the song.
Free Eye? I'm sorry.
Free Eye is Jeff Dixon, the one who was killed with Peter Tosh. Okay. So I was with him the week before he was killed, and because I used to love the song and I used to talk on the rhythm. Those days, the 45 had two sides, the B side, and then he used to talk on the dub and JBC. And I still have his voice on a recording now. Yeah. And because of that, I got interested in Africa. And then later down into 98, when my daughter was being taught by Professor Shepherd, I became aware more of that whole idea of Africa. I had listened to Barbara Hannah. Yes, and she was pushing for reparation, and I listened to her. Of course, I just met her once years ago. She's on my Facebook page now, inspiring me, helping me to understand a lot about Africa and other persons. So people like Vereen Shepherd, and I listen to her program every morning on you know, what's called Talking
Every
History.
Saturday morning, Talking
Yes, at
History.
9 o'clock, yes. And therefore, Africa became important to me. But I think one of the things that helped me to understand it, I used to, again, I didn't like Marcus Garvey. In fact,
Talk the
I thought
truth
Marcus Garvey,
now.
yes, I thought Marcus Garvey caused problems because we thought Marcus Garvey was the one who told Rasta that Selassie is God. And
Yes.
therefore, so therefore, we never really liked Marcus Garvey. But guess what? Reverend Dr. Maddox, Rennie Maddox, did a thesis on Marcus, the philosophy and teaching of Marcus Garvey. God rest his soul. When I was out here struggling alone, he was one of the ministers in the church that stuck with me. And he taught me about Marcus Garvey. And eventually, this little book here was the first one that I started reading it. It's all marked up, the philosophy, and then I read the teaching and the philosophies of Marcus Garvey. And so Africa is very important because it has helped me now to be a liberated Christian. My understanding of Africa, and to be a liberated Christian, because honestly, when we were brought up, it's only the European understanding of the white, straight-faced Jesus, the Italian virgin, or is Italian or whichever, that Michelangelo, whichever those great artists in the Renaissance painted that. And therefore, when I used to dream about the Christ, I used to dream, say, a white man. But because I've detox and whatever my psyche, you know, I don't see Jesus as any white man anymore. I don't see him as a black man like me in the sense of my dark color, but I relate to him as someone who has understood my culture, as someone who was born in that place, in that region that would more look like me, and therefore the whole African experience helped me now to see God in a very cultural way, and I can relate to God out of my African experience without necessarily saying I am worshiping the ancestors. Don't worship ancestors.
So you have made peace with Marcus Garvey.
Yes, and therefore I had to write the poem tribute to Marcus Garvey. And Reverend Maddox, when we launched the book in 1998, he read that poem, and I think it was published in the Gleaner subsequently. And you're the first person to publish that poem.
Wow.
Yes, and so I'm honored that you put it in the KW magazine.
And I'm honored that it is that you allowed it to be put in the KW magazine, such a young publication. You don't even know if anybody else is going to read it, if anybody knows and know about it. But so people, I must let you know that all the issues of the KW magazine, including the third issue, which focuses on Marcus Garvey, which has this poem, The Black African Bloom, in it, can be found at www.issuu.com/Joanne, JO-ANN. I'm asking Dana to just put it inside the comments so that everybody can see it there. All the issues can be read there. So Rosie inside here is saying most of us had those same views about about Africa and Marcus Garvey, but hopefully most of us are now reading for ourselves and understand something different. And I am really happy for all of the work that you have been doing, sir. You have a poem. I was going to leave it for the end, but I don't know how the end is going to go. So I want you to read that poem for us now. It is called, you tell us what it's called.
Okay, so this poem, again, I don't read. Yes. I shouldn't have said that, but it's true. I don't read in public. And maybe it is not public because I used to get a lot of beaten for reading in school. So I am very shy to read. But because of you, I don't say no to Joanne Richards. So I am reading this poem.
You are among friends, sir. You are among friends. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, it's titled I Man is a Black Man, and also subtitled I Man Identity. It was written in 1998, and in 2000, the Gleaner in the arts section published it, and I really was happy for that. And I recorded it subsequently, and there is a video, simple video on YouTube, but here goes. I Man is a Black man. Not just another man nor a man too, not a little man nor a big man, not a tall man nor a short man, not a slim man nor a fat man, not a handsome man nor an ugly man, not a sexy man nor a macho man. I Man is a man, a Black man. I Man is a Black man, not a mama's man nor a mama man. Not a yes man, nor an everybody's man, not a workman, nor a handyman, not a this man, nor a that man, not a best man, nor a big belly man, not a rasta man, nor a bald head man. I Man is a Black man, Black man, Black man. I Man is a Black man, not a drugs man, nor a con man, not a gunman, nor a bad man, not a don man, nor a wicked man, not a weak man, nor a strong man, not a powerful man, nor a fallen man, not a funny man, nor a straight man. I Man is a man, a Black man, a black man. I Man is a Black man, not a black heart man, not a black heart mannequin dressed up in white concept of comeliness. I Man is a Black man, not a mentally enslaved African Caribbean man believing that the color of my skin is sin. I Man is a Black man, a free, proud Black man. That's who and what I am. I am a Black man, a black man, a Black man. Thank you.
Awesome.
Sorry for the stumble in the middle of it there.
Oh, don't apologize for anything. I mean, the poem stands for itself. And, you know, that whole line about not dressed up in the white concept. I can't remember exactly what the words were.
Yes.
White concept of comeliness. You know, not accepting ourselves for who we are. It is so good that not only have you come to grips with that, but you have given our young Black men a legacy, our young Black princes a legacy that they can come up and say the same poem and have it mean something deep to them. Because trust me, our boys and our men, our princes and our kings need mentorship. And I think it's great to you keep calling me the Queen of Arts. You know, but you I am
so dubbed. You, Makeda, Coral Brown, and of course my friend Sandy from Belize, and a couple few other persons. But you, I branded you, and of course T. Archer, so many others. Yes.
I would say that you are the King of Arts. But by the way, Sandy is not from Belize.
No, Sandy is Sandy is Jamaican. Jamaican.
Let us not forget we have an audience. But
yes, okay.
I got to Belize to do a songwriting workshop, and I see this lady, and every day the two of us trying to figure out where we know each other from.
Yes.
We went to primary school together. Anyway, that's a whole Don Robin Primary School.
Okay, great.
Yes. Anyway, so yes, Rosie's saying she loved the poem, and Mavis George is clapping, and Vivian Peter says, "Read on, Prof. I am delighted."
Oh, Vivian Peter, too, one of the queens of arts, and she thinks that I've influenced her to write in poems, and then she started writing short stories.
She has been writing, and I will tell you, audience, that Dr. Vivian Peter has already written an article for the next issue of the KW magazine.
I am so happy for that.
Yes, that has to do with the history and culture of the Caribbean, but it's looking at Jamaica. Excellent. Anyway, so people, here is what you need to do, people. I'm speaking now to you who are watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube, which we are going to put it up on YouTube later, I must tell you this. You need to sign up on the KW Magazine page in Facebook. When you sign up there, you will be given the updates on all that is happening with the KW Magazine, when whoever is coming next for our interviews and everything will be there. If you don't sign up, you may miss something that you would not have wanted to miss, because it's one thing to and we're going to have to get this call, I suppose. It's one thing to catch it when it goes, after it's gone, but to catch it live, it's special, right? So trying to get it. Okay, so here's the thing. We want to move on. Hold on one moment, audience, for me, please. Please just hold on one moment. Don't move. All right. We don't have a studio here, so we have to flow with whatever is happening.
Of course.
I am telling you, Mr. Bean, this is really a crucial conversation filled with truths, filled with, I don't know, I am excited about all that is coming out so far.
Thank you.
And I want to know, where do you go from here? And before you answer that question, no, there's so much more. There's so much more that I would want you to share. Like the book that you wrote about Cynthia Schloss, yes, shortly after she died, all the work that you have done, and all the big musicians that you have worked with. People, you're talking about Wayne Armon. Wayne Armon is from where again? Look at that.
He's Jamaican here.
Pardon? No,
Wayne
man. Which group? Tell us which
group. The Chalice.
The Chalice. Yes. Wayne Armon.
Ernie Ranglin.
You've got Ernie Ranglin. Call some more names.
Dwight Pinkney.
Dwight Pinkney, who, by the way, people, is my real flesh and blood uncle.
All right.
Right.
John Williams.
John Williams, Grove Cooper,
Dennis Rushton. Three of the Brady, the Brownie guys. Not the one who died on rest his soul. He's the only one who hasn't put some tracks on my music.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, it's too many. Number Robinson, Dean Fraser, Tony Green. I've worked with a number of the big studios, Gussie Clark Studio and Grafton and Fab 5 Studio. In other words, not to boast, because boasting doesn't get you anywhere, but I have built up a body of work, many of which have not yet been mixed and released, part because of COVID and money too, because you can't just put all of your money into things, but I believe that they are done for posterity. Yes. And like Marley, I didn't grow music to make money. And if money is to be made, there are people who will come behind me that will need money. Yes. So, so we have worked with most of the top musicians in Jamaica. And that's why our music is authentic, because whereas we wanted the gospel message, the message of life to humanity, it had to come out within from the heartbeat of the people. Yes. The drumming and the cultural music has to be part of it, the reggae music. Yes. And whereas I listen to the European music and love the organ sometimes, and I listen some of the old classics and so on, but our music, especially like music that you produce, Joan, I love your music because it speaks to our culture and our history and our future. And that is why I am so happy about the fact that I can be part of what you're doing.
Wow. So you worked with these top musicians, Jamaican musicians, because you wanted to make sure that the music was authentic.
The quality,
Jamaican. Yes. And that
the top engineers like Ron Dwyer and others,
Wow. Really, really significant.
And all of those,
yes.
sorry, the voice, most of the backing vocals on my songs, Carol Dexter, Mr. Dexter's daughter,
yes.
She did the African Bloom, and Pam Holders, you know, these top singers who backing vocals for me. I am honored to have worked with them. A lot of those persons. But Cynthia Slash, you mentioned her.
Yes.
Again, Cynthia Slash episode, came in because when I did the first book, my first publication, see, I put my name very big at the time. I thought I was a big author. You know, like
you are.
Put the name big up at top. No one knows how it go. Well, it was 1998 anyway. So, anyway, Flower Blooms. Over a number of poems that Norma Brown Bell, my good friend Norma Brown Bell, and my dear friend Norma Brown Bell, we worked together to raise funds for Wilma's needy students at the time. And we launched a student fund, and we sold the first all the books we sold, we gave it to the student fund. And therefore, I wanted, and then the crisis center became important to me because of my focus on women, and that time Dundee.
So that's I'm sorry, that's the Women's Crisis Center.
Yes, the Women Inc. with Dundee first and present at the time, where women who were battered and bruised and so on were taken care of. And because I was into the women issue, and I said, let us raise some funds to give to the Crisis Center and the Wilmer's Fund. So to cut the story short, I met Cynthia only twice, and the night when we had the show, and she agreed to do a show Valentine's 1999 at the La Meridian, whatever, Pegasus at the time. What was it called? La Meridian.
La Meridian something.
Yes, Pegasus. Yes, and the same Pegasus. And we had a very important show with Ainsley Morris. Well, his proper name is Ainsley, but it's Ainsley, we know him as. He was one of the persons who I worked with Foundation too. And Mr. Noel, Keith Noel, Dorothy Noel, these people, I can't forget these people who we work with. And therefore, we put on the show, and 14 days or 15 days after that show with Cynthia, she died suddenly for no reason, no cause. And I was able to write a book, 252 pages of poetry, interviews with all of the top persons in media, on Winston Blake, God rest his soul, he was alive at the time, naturally, Monty Blake and so on, and called them. I interviewed them, from the Freddie Maguires to the Ernie Simmet. I can't forget the day when I met Ernie Simmet at his house. He was so big and tall and awesome. And I said, this man is a giant. Anyway, he was very gentle. And therefore, the book was given away. I didn't sell copies. A few people donated money, and we gave it to the Crisis Center, me and Norma Brown Bell. And therefore, that was one of the piece of work that I've done that I'm very proud of. And Cynthia Slash was a loving person. And I'm telling you, Cynthia Slash just so much give her taxi fare to come do the show. And then she departed. I had to do something. And that's why there are so many stories around Cynthia Slash, but that's it. We can go any further with that.
Yes, and I mean, so much more that could be said in this wonderful history lesson. Lorna Thompson is saying, good afternoon to my teacher, the Right Reverend Errol Bean, the real deal.
Oh my God. Lorna Thompson, I taught her at Shortwood College, and she don't stop calling her doctorate and big time math students, and all I taught her, religious education. Life has been good to me, although it has been rough. Although I struggled as to what it meant to be a man, or to grow up to be a man without a father, and the many women who helped me along the way, and women who I've met in my COVID stage, you know, like other persons who I don't know about on Facebook. We have had a very good journey. And what do I want now? What do I expect to happen for me now? Well, the work that I have done, the unfinished work, I hope they'll be finished. Some of them will be finished before I leave, because I know that nobody who's into creativity will finish all of his works. Toots, the great Toots, is still lamenting that he didn't finish what he wanted to do. So who is Errol Bean not to have unfinished work? But I have, one of the things I hope for, two things. Before COVID, I started doing a documentary titled Leave the Children Alone, one of the songs that I did work with Nambo and Wayne Arman and some of those guys to do. And did a lot of footage, go all over the island, doing video, high level HD video to make a documentary. And then the COVID come and I put it down. I don't know if it will be finished or somebody will take the footage I have and finish the documentary. Okay. But that's one thing I would love to do. But the most important thing I have left to do, among other things that may come up, I have over 300 and odd poems and reflections and short snippets of my life that I like to publish, entitled From Mind to Mind, From God's Mind to My Mind. And if I get to do that, and live on some more, I will be grateful to God for that, because he has been good to me. Long journey, but through it all, God has been with me, and I understand him in his quantum essence. And I must slip this in. I don't have a problem with God and color, because at our quantum essence, we are just vibrating light and invisibility. That's what St. John 1 is talking about. The fact is that God sent Christ, the true Christ, as the light that lightens every man. And when we gel down the 50 trillion cells in our body, they are invisible. We share in the invisibility of God. And therefore, when I worship God in spirit. And so I don't have to worship God in church, although it is important for those persons who find their strength in it. Of course, COVID, people can't go to church now. You have to find God within yourself. But the point I'm making, to me, God is not a black or white issue. God is spirit. God is invisible. And I share in the invisibility of God. And the flesh that you see is just the house to maintain the spirit and to house the spirit and my soul until such time. And therefore, we do with quantum physics, and we read those things and epigenetics and so on, so that we can understand how the body functions. But we thank God, I must comment on Makeda. She helped me to understand a little more about Selassie. And one of the things I took from her, among other things, is that Christ is reflected in Selassie. To me, Selassie is not Christ, but is Christly. And therefore, like Selassie, all of us are called to reflect the Christ in our levity, in our love. So therefore, we don't have to worship Selassie, but we must understand that he's our Black king. And the Rastas have done a lot for Jamaican culture. And I hope that people will understand and find that God is neither black nor white, but in its essence is invisible. And humanity is also invisible in the quantum essence, and we share that unity. That is why the Bible says, worship God in spirit and in truth. Know what God is, and in spirit. Because no matter how much jump up you do and shout and prophesy and name and claim, if you're not worshiping God in your spirit, whether one or two or three or in a great congregation, you are not worshiping God, because that's your reasonable service when you present your body as a living spiritual sacrifice and worship God in your spirit, which is your real, true, reasonable worship.
Yes. Wow. Earlier on, Rosie had commented inside the room saying, for many Christians, it's difficult to do secular music instead of Christian music. She put it in quotes. But I like how you call it the message of and for the people instead of directly for God, as gospel music does most times. And she says, people matter. People matter to God.
Yes.
We emanated from him, and he breathed the breath of himself into us, and people matter. And she says, I guess that is what reggae music is supposed to be about. The clean side of reggae music. It is supposed to be about all of life.
Yes.
And not just the aspects that we might consider to be about God, but all of our lives is about God. Dana says these are powerful thoughts, and they really are. And I imagine a lot of people are going to be thinking about this and meditating on it and going back to read the scriptures again to see if they understand, that is what it's all about. But all I can say now is that this has indeed been a crucial conversation. We can't get the whole history in 1 hour. It's not possible, but I think we got some very essential things. Lorna is saying we must embrace the positive side of our culture. Definitely. Malachi 3 verse 16 says, those who feared the Lord spoke with each other, and then a book of remembrance was opened. And this is what is happening here. We're talking with each other, and God is speaking. I see where K Vibes Brick Rose is saying greetings, and indeed, greetings to you, my sister. Next week is your week when we will be getting your story. K Vibes Brick Rose. And Mavis George says, a very powerful connection. Sir,
thank you. Yes.
I really, really appreciate. We appreciate. And when I say we, I'm speaking on behalf of the Crew 44 team, which is the mother organization that puts out the KW magazine. My husband, Marcel Goffe, and I work together with Denise Simpson, who is sometimes on with us, but she's having challenges taking care of her mom as well. And, Steve Benham over in the US, and it's a team of us. And we are very grateful that you have allowed your poem to be published in the magazine. And people, there is also the SpurOpen.com has a store where you can get the PDF version, the downloadable version of the KW magazine. So please look out for that. SpurOpen.com. All right. Dana should be able to get that into the comments for you and your students. Lorna is saying, I'm so proud of you, my teach. Amen.
I know, she's one of my big fans.
And so we are going to say goodbye on another CREWShall Conversation until next week when we are hosting K Vibes, the Brick Rose herself. What she says, she's the born a lyrics factory and work a lyrics store. Yes, or something like that. And I have experienced the power of her lyrics as well. So
excellent.
The Lord, may I beg God to bless you and keep you. May I beg him to smile upon you. And may I beg him to show you in love, even though none of we not deserve it. And may I beg him to look upon you and go no be in peace. What good and one love.
One love, one heart.
One love.
Blessed love.
Yeah.
Yes.